Hare Krishna, Rashmi Madhuri, Raja Prabhu, Dandavatrino, all glory to Shri Prabhupada. Gurudev, so we'll start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitanayena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी नामने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशधारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लङ्घयते किं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुनिरतारिणम् परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्यमेश्वरम ओम अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थांगतो वा यस्मरेत् पुंडरीकाक्षं सबाह्याभ्यन्तरं श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु श्री विष्णु. So did you share, Prabhu, where we stopped with?
Yeah, you share the screen, Prabhuji. I'll show you.
Okay. It's been Lilamrita.
Actually, I also started Prabhupada Lilamrita, Prabhuji. Means I just started reading with some of the devotees. Adinath Prabhuji, myself, Gaurav Prabhuji, Rashmi Mataji, my wife, and Adinath Prabhuji wife. We are 6-7 people.
Again, you are reading, huh?
Here means we are not reading continuously, Prabhuji. Right here, so I thought to read completely only Prabhupada Lilamrita. Night 9:30 to 10 o'clock every day, half an hour.
Oh, very nice. Very good job. Very good. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Actually, I'm here, Prabhuji. I mean, somewhat I'm not that much conscious. I mean, like focused, Prabhuji, because dropping kids in between, like
Correct,
that.
correct.
Morning time is a little hectic, Prabhuji.
Yeah, for everybody, that's why, families with children, no, that is what it is.
Yes.
It's okay. So whatever we can do, spending
Actually,
time.
Bhagavatam and this Chaitanya Charitamrita, I'm able to like catch it whenever if I even though miss. But Leelamrita is very. We need to be very attentive and focused.
Correct.
That's the reason I just started.
So, I'm just sharing the screen. 1 second. So, tell me, Prabhu, where are we?
Yeah, we started 26th chapter, Prabhuji. Can you little bit?
Paragraph, I have an idea.
Only Safan Prabhuji, read Prabhuji after started. Can you come down, Prabhuji, little?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, come down, Prabhuji. Yeah. Can you come down, Prabhuji, little?
What about the stroke?
Stroke is not done. This is done, Prabhuji. This is done.
This is done?
Done.
From here we need to start, huh? Prabhupada walked on the beach.
This one done, Prabhuji. Message. Can you walk it up for an hour?
I can do that. Okay, sure. Yes, ma'am. Jagadguru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Yade Prabhupada Vaitam Tabe ki Vaitam Jivana Vahe ki se Nitai Gaurera Apara Karuna Edita Sakala Deshe Yade Prabhupada Vaitam Tabe ki Vaitam Jivana Vahe ki se पाश्चात्येरायता पापी दुराचारी शून्यवादी मायावादी तादेन बुद्धारकारी बारे माना है न कौन दयानिधि यदि प्रभुपान वैदं तबे की वैदं जीवन बाहित किसे तादेर निकटे कौन जाना से विलयित हरिना सभाया जीव रूपे गदिते तदीर के हाइता गोया यदि प्रमाण वैत ताबे की हुई तो हे जीवन वही की से देश देश हरि विग्रह सेवा आरती रात्रि दीने राता यात्रा दी महोत्सव सब शिकायत कौन जाने यादे भगवान वही तो आबे की हुई तो जीवन वही किसे गीता भागवत चैतन्य चरिता प्रेमामृता रसा सारा काताना सुंदरा साराला करिया के पूजा हेता यादे भगवान वही तो आबे की हुई तो जीवाना बहित किसे कटकष्टा साहि प्रीतमाने रही केवदीता हरिना केदीता मादेरा पूरे वृंदावन मायापुरा माता धाम यदि प्रभुपाद भई तो आवे की भई तो जीवन बहित किसे परमा मंगला श्री चैतन्य महा प्रभुरा शिक्षा धाम आचार्य प्रचारे सदा आमदेरे के करितनि योजा यदि प्रभुपाद ताबे की हुई जीवन वहित किसे प्रेमा कल्पातारुणिताय गौरेर कृपा कानल विवारे नीराबादी जया पताका हृदय तुम्हारे शरण करे यदि प्रभुपाद आबे की हुई जीवाना वही की से हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपाद श्रील प्रभुपाद जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा श्रील गुरुदेवा जय गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्रील गुरुदेव की जय చదవండి డివోటీస్ ఒకటి ఇద్దరు టూ చదవండి 4 into 2
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah.
2 చదవండి హరి బోల్
If Srila Prabhupada had not come, what would have happened? How could we have passed our life? Who else would have distributed the unlimited mercy of Lord Nityananda and Lord Gauranga all over the world? Which other compensate person would have endeavored to deliver the miscreant, sinful, impersonalistic, and wideistic people in the West? Thank you, Prabhuji.
థ్యాంక్ యూ నెక్స్ట్ రష్మి మాధవి 3-4
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam.
ధన్యవాదాలు
Who else would have come to distribute Harinam to them? Who else would have come forward to transform them into civilized beings? Who else would have taught them how to worship the deity form of Lord Hari day and night with Arati Kirtana, and how to conduct the Rath Yatra and other grand festivals? Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ధన్యవాదాలు 5-6 ఆర్ ఏబుల్ టు డూ
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita contain the essence of the nectarian mellows of love of Godhead. Who else would have explained these scriptures so clearly and beautifully? Who else would have tolerated all difficulties and distributed Harinama with a pleasant heart? Who would have given us the dhamas such as Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Jagannath Puri?
Thank you, Mother. 7-8. Let me read. The teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu constitute the greatest and most auspicious treasure. Who else would have engaged us in constantly practicing and preaching it? Shashanita and Gaura are desired trees of love of God. Desiring a drop of their mercy, Jayapataka's heart incessantly takes shelter of your divine grace. Jagat Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai. We'll start reading. Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, Volume 1. We are at this chapter. This one, Swamiji's departure, 26th chapter. So we are at this particular paragraph. So please start. Rajabhu, you want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. He walked for an hour until two young servants were both tired. Do I tire you walking? He laughed. This walking and massaging her saving my life from day to day. Then he continued to walking. By 11 o'clock, the sun finally appeared over the mountains and through the clouds. Srila Prabhupada, his head wrapped with a towel, sat in a folding chair on the beach, taking in the sunshine. He kept saying he needed more sun. After lunch, the sky was again overcast. In the evening, Prabhupada called Krishnananda and Upendra into the large living room and led them into a subdued kirtana, singing Hare Krishna and Govinda Jaya, Jaya Jaya. He stood and led them a large circle around the room. He would stop before the picture of Krishna, bow slightly with folded palms, turn around and then continue in the circle. On July 8th, after Prabhupada had been at Paradiso for 2 days, Shyamasundara and Mukunda drove up from San Francisco. The next day was to be Rathayatra, and Shyamasundara and Mukunda, the first devotees to visit the Prabhupada since his arrival at Stinson Beach, told Prabhupada all about the festival preparations. Of course, the whole festival had been Prabhupada's idea, but the devotees in San Francisco were trying to do exactly as he had asked. Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Continue.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada had first gotten the idea of the festival while looking out the window of room above Frederick Street, noticing the flatbed trucks passing below. The thought of putting Jagannath deities on the back of such a truck and conducting an American style Radhatra style festival. He had ever sketched a truck with a four-pillared encopi on the back and decorated with flags and bells and flower garland. And he had called in the Shamasundara, make me this cart for Rathayatra. Now ready and sitting outside the temple on Frederick Street was the cart, a yellow Hodge rental truck, compliments of the diggers and complete with the 5-foot columns and a pyramidal cloth canopy. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Rashmi Mother.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sitting with Prabhupada on the beach, Mukunda told how all the devotees were working with great enthusiasm and how the hippies in Height Ashbury were talking about the Jagannath parade that would take place the next day. The devotees had tried to route the parade through Golden Gate Park, but the public department would only give permission for them to go south down Frederick Street to the sea. Mukunda said the devotees planned to have Jagannath under the canopy, facing the right side of the truck, Subhadra facing the rear, and Balaram facing the left side. He wanted to know if that was all right. Actually, Prabhupada said the deity should be ride in a separate cart pulled with ropes by the crowd through the streets. Maybe that could happen in future years. Do it nicely, he cautioned them, and don't hurry it up. The devotee should drive the truck slowly through the street down to the beach, and there should be constant kirtanam. Mukunda and Shyam Sundara glorified Jayananda. He drove all around San Francisco getting donation of fruits and flowers, found people to help decorate the cart, installed the sound system on the truck, and distributed posters in the stores. He was tireless and his enthusiasm was inspiring everyone else to take part. The woman had been cooking chapatis all day, so there should be thousands to give away to the crowd. the devotees had prepared hundreds of Hare Krishna Rath Yatra festival balloons to release on the streets as the parade began. When the devotees asked what else they should do, Prabhupada said that this was all a procession, prasadam distribution kirtana. The people should get a chance to see Lord Jagannatha and chant Hare Krishna. There should be chanting and dancing in front of the cart throughout the procession. But do everything nicely, Prabhupada said. Do it well as you can, as Lord Jagannatha will be satisfied.
Thank you, Mother. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Sandhya Mother, you want to?
Yes, Prabhuji. The next day, in the quiet afternoon, Prabhupada was sitting in the living room chanting on his beads. Upendra was with him, and Kirtanananda was in the kitchen cooking a feast. Suddenly, Prabhupada heard the familiar ringing of cymbals, and he became very happy, his eyes widening. Looking outside, he saw the Rath Yatra truck with Lord Jagannatha, Subhadra, and Balarama, and dozens of devotees and hippies eager to see him. He went out to greet them and had them bring the deities inside and set them on the top of upright piano. Devotees and guests followed, filling the large living room. Smiling, Prabhupada embraced some of the men, while others made obeisances at his feet. Some devotees helped Kirtanananda in the kitchen get ready to distribute the large feast he had prepared. Others reported on the success of Rath Yatra festival. It was great. It was wonderful. It was a beautiful day, they said. And Prabhupada listened, moved by his disciples' description of the celebration. Many hippies had joined the large procession. Mukunda, Haridasa, Hayagriva, and some of the women had been on the cart, and the instruments, including Yamuna's playing on the harmonium, had all been amplified. Everyone in the streets had liked it. The police motor escorts had tried to hurry the devotees, but so many people had crowded in front of that the parade had been obliged to go slowly. Just as Swamiji had asked, Subala had danced wildly the whole time. Jayananda had been jumping up and down, playing kartals. From the truck, some of the women had handed out cut oranges, apples, and bananas, and others had thrown flowers. The crowds had loved it. Shamasundara told how they had been going up a steep hill. Shamasundara had been driving with his dog Ralph beside him on the front seat when the truck had stalled. He had tried to start the engine but couldn't. Then the brakes wouldn't hold. The truck began rolling backward downhill. Finally, he had managed to stop. But when he had tried to go forward, the engine had stalled and the truck had rolled backwards again. He would get it started. The truck would go forward, then stall, then roll backwards. Everyone had anxiety. At last, the truck had started forward, and the procession had continued all the way to.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll read. Srila Prabhupada smiled. It was a pastime of Lord Jagannatha's. He said the same thing had happened when Lord Chaitanya had attended Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. Then also the cart had gotten stuck. Mother,
సారీ ప్రభుజీ యాక్చువల్లీ కాల్ వచ్చింది నేను డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేశాను చెప్పండి ప్రభుజీ
nothing. నేను కంటిన్యూ చేస్తాను చదువుతున్నా
షుడ్ ఐ కంటిన్యూ ప్రభుజీ
నేను చదువుతున్నా మతది ఓకేనా
ఎందుకు వాయిస్ లో వస్తుంది ప్రభుజీ ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగండి
is it ఓకేనా
మేబీ కాల్ డిస్కనెక్ట్ చేసినందుకు వాయిస్ పోయినట్టుంది ప్రభుజీ అసలు వినిపించట్లేదు మీ వాయిస్ నాకు
ఓకే are you all able to hear me
మీ వాయిస్ బాగుంది ప్రభుజీ
Yes,
మాధవి మాత్రం వినపడడం లేదంటుంది బాగుంది
okay thank you Srila Prabhupada smiled. It was a pastime of Lord Jagannatha's. He said the same thing had happened when Lord Chaitanya had attended Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri. Then also the cart had gotten stuck and no one had been able to move it. The king of Orissa had brought forward the most powerful wrestlers to push the cart and pull on the ropes, but it wouldn't go. Even the elephants couldn't move it. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had then put his head against the cart and pushed, and only then did the cart begin to move. Now Rath Yatra had come to the west, and with it, this pastime of Lord Jagannath. Prabhupada noticed some devotees were missing. Where are Yamuna and Janaki? He asked. The devotees told him that some hippies had handed out candy spiked with LSD, and that a few of the devotees had unwittingly accepted it. and were just now recovering. Subala related how, after the festival, they had traveled out on the freeway in their flower-bedecked, canopy-covered truck, carrying 30 devotees, the deities of Jagannath, Subhadra, and Balarama. They had driven up through the mountains in what must have been one of the most unusual vehicles ever seen. After all the visitors departed, the deities remained in the house with Prabhupada and his servants. Prabhupada felt satisfied that his disciples had successfully held a Rath Yatra festival. Although untrained, they were sincere. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and Bhaktivinoda Thakur would have been pleased to see the first American Rath Yatra, which has happened in San Francisco. The whole world was in anxiety. Prabhupada explained to the devotees gathered in his room that evening. Only in the spiritual world was there freedom from anxiety. Becoming free from all anxiety and returning to the spiritual world was the purpose of Krishna consciousness. And festivals like Rath Yatra made people Krishna conscious. Prabhupada had many ideas for festivals. If he had the money and the manpower, he said he could have a festival every day. There was no limit to Krishna consciousness. This Rath Yatra festival was another sign of the good reception for Krishna consciousness in the West. We'll continue. Okay, so again, we'll ask Amarjan now. Let me see. Akincha Prabhu, are you able to read now?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu.
Then no Prabhu. Please read.
He wrote Brahmananda in New York. The house is situated in an exceptional nice spot, and the house itself is aristocratic. So there is nothing to complain about the house and the place. The only difficulty is that I cannot go to the temple on account of zigzag course of the road and the crossing of the mountains. Anyway, the devotees are coming here, and the Rath Yatra festival was just performed with a great pomp. More than 500 people followed the procession to the beach, and there were about 2 dozen cars. They distributed thousands of uh, chapatis, and at last Sri Jagannath, Subhadra, and Baldev kindly came here in our house and will stay here for 1 week and then return. Srila Prabhupada still talked of going to India. He had virtually made up his mind to go. The question now was well and whether by the western route via Japan or the eastern route via New York. The grey skies and unseasonal cool temperaments of Stinson Beach were a disappointment. His health was still poor. He even spoke a dying. He even spoke of dying. It didn't matter whether he died in America or in Vrindavan, he said. If a Vaishnava dies in Vrindavan, the land where Krishna appeared, he is assured of going Krishna in spiritual world. Yet when Lord Chaitanya had travelled outside Vrindavan, his devotees Advaita and assured him, wherever you are is Vrindavan. To be always absorbed in thinking of Krishna was also a Vrindavana. So if he were to pass away while preaching Krishna consciousness anywhere in the world, certainly he would still attain to the eternal Vrindavana in the spiritual sky. Nevertheless, Prabhupada wanted to go to the Vrindavana. It was the best place to die or to recuperate. Besides, he had a plan for bringing his disciples to Vrindavana for training. He expressed his plan in the letter to Sumati Murarji, the owner of Shilya Steamship Company. Continue, Yala Prabhu.
Yeah, continue this prayer.
I am thinking of going back to India as soon as I get sufficient strength. I am now considerably old. I will be 72 next September. But the work which I have begun in the Western world is not yet finished. And I require to train some of the American boys to preach this cult all over the Western world. So if I return to India, I will have to take with me some of the boys for the training. They are all nice boys to take up the training. So your cooperation in connection is greatly needed. You have already allowed my men from India free passage. Similarly, if you allow the free passage for some of my American, some of my American disciples, they can come to India and training from me at taking training from me at Vrindavana. The idea is that in this old age, I do not know when death will overcome me. I wish to die in the last days of my life at Vrindavan. Prabhupada told Kirtananda, Harigriva and others. Prabhupada told Kirtananda, Harigriva and others that he would take them with him and show them the sacred places of Krishna's pastimes. With the New York's temple building fund, he would start his American house in Vrindavan.
Very good. Thank you, bro.
Thank you.
So, Vani Mataji, Sirisha Mata, MC. Please read. Anyone? Vani Mataji, Sirisha.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Dandavat.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat.
Prabhuji, I'll read next, Prabhuji. Next and chestan.
Okay, Sirisha Mataji, are you able to?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat.
Dandavat.
I may come to Montreal, perform the opening ceremony of installation of Radha Krishna Vigraha. Then I may go back to India for 6 months, as there is a program for construction of an American house for training preachers at Vrindavan. Vrindavan is the only solitary transcendental abode within this universe where Krishna consciousness automatically reveals. Therefore, I have a great hope to train some of my disciples for preaching work. Even in my absence, I am now old man and attacked with a serious disease. I may be overcome by death at any moment. Therefore, I wish to leave some trained preachers so that they can do the work of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. That is my ambition. I hope you all pray to Krishna so that I may be able to execute my duty properly. When Govinda Dasi wrote Prabhupada that she was anxious to serve him again as she had in New Jersey, he replied that he would be going to India to try to construct an American house where you will be invited to come and live for all the days. Both your husband and yourself, you will find a very peaceful atmosphere in Vrindavan to worship Krishna. Waiting for sufficient strength to travel, Prabhupada continued his daily routine at Stinson Beach. 1 or 2 at a time, devotees would visit him from San Francisco. His morning walks on the beach. He is sitting to take in the sunshine whenever it peeked through the clouds. And his evenings of kirtana or reading in the living room remained undisturbed and peaceful. Can I continue, Prabhuji?
Yeah, continue.
Okay. Upendra. He would sit in his chair on the beach side of the house. He liked to see us go in the water and play. At first, I felt a bit strange going in the water and knowing that Swamiji was watching me. But I went in and began washing my body. When I looked back at Swamiji, he was mounting from his chair, throwing his arms up like he was splashing in the water. He kept doing it until finally I understand that he wanted me to splash and play in the water. As I began to splash, I jumped around in the water. He nodded his head and smiled broadly. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vani Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji. Mukunda, I went for a walk on a beach with Swamiji, and when he sat down, I sat down opposite him. Then he asked me, what is the definition of Krishna? I said, Krishna is God. He is the supreme being. Our duty is to worship and serve him. Swamiji seemed fairly satisfied, and then he said, You must chant 64 rounds per day on your beat. I was shocked at this and could not answer. I did not know if there was any need to answer. I just kept looking at Swamiji, and he looked at me. After some time, he said, or at least you can chant 32 rounds a day. Still silent. I considered it to be very difficult to chant even 16 rounds. I was wondering how I could possibly chant 32 rounds. 32 rounds. After some time, Swamiji said, at the very least, you must chant 16 rounds every day. I said, yes, Swamiji, I knew that I could at least try to handle that much. Prabhupada told Kirtanananda that he wanted to play the piano. The Jagannatha deities, who had sat atop the piano for a week, were now back in San Francisco at the temple. But when Kirtanananda and Upendra moved the piano away from the wall, they heard the thud of a falling object. What is that? Prabhupada asked. Kirtanananda reached behind the piano and produced a framed canvas wrapped in a madras. He uncovered it and revealed a painting of Lord Narsimha. Why is this being hidden behind the piano? Prabhupada asked. Janaki happened to be visiting at the time, and she confessed. While she had been arranging the house for Prabhupada's arrival, someone had sent the painting out to the house. She had found it and hidden it. It was ghastly, she explained. Lord Narsimha was tearing open Hiranyakashipu's abdomen, and there was blood everywhere. Patiently, Prabhupada explained that although materialistic people feel sorry for Hiranyakashipu, devotees become aesthetic when they see Narsimhadev tearing him apart. Hiranyakashipu, he said, had terrorized the whole universe and had usurped the throne of Indra, the king of heaven. Hiranyakashipu had even tortured his own 5-year-old son Prahlada, a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. So there was nothing wrong in Lord Narsimha's pastime. In fact, Hiranyakashipu, having been killed by the Lord, had been liberated. After directing the devotees to hang the picture on the wall, Srila Prabhupada sat down and played the piano. The devotees had seen Prabhupada beautifully play the Indian harmonium, his left hand pumping the bellows, his right hand fingering the keyboard, but never a piano. They weren't aware he knew how, but he expertly played the melodies of Indian bhajan. After about 5 minutes, he stopped. Some evenings, Prabhupada would speak or arrange debates, although Kirtanananda was constantly cautioning. When Prabhupada wanted to speak, it was impossible for any of his disciples to stop him. Sometimes he would ask Kirtanananda to debate with one of the visiting devotees. One devotee would agree for the impersonalist or atheist position, and the other would argue for the Krishna conscious position. Prabhupada would judge, but no sooner would the argument begin than Prabhupada would interrupt, take the position of a devotee, and defeat the atheistic or impersonalistic argument. The devotees loved it. Prabhupada was unable to confine himself either to the role of a silent judge or to that of a recuperating patient. Why do we concentrate on the impersonalist? Kirtanananda asked. Why do we attack them so much? Why don't we concentrate our attacks on the atheists? You say that because you are an impersonalist, Prabhupada answered angrily. On another occasion, should I stop over here?
Yeah, thank you. That's really
Thank
good.
you. Yes, sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Chandrababu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Please continue.
On another occasion, Prabhupada explained that non-devotees who mislead the innocent public are demons and should be exposed. Kirtanananda objected, if we call them demons, they will never come around. But they are demons. Prabhupada replied, but we can't call them demons, Swamiji. Yes, they are demons. Unless you understand this point, you will not make any advancement in Krishna consciousness. Can demons become devotees? Kirtanananda asked. Oh yes, Prabhupada answered. If they chant Hare Krishna and render service, even demons can become devotees. Most of the devotees had to remain in San Francisco, hoping for a chance to visit Swamiji. From the few who knew firsthand, they heard about Swamiji's plans to leave for India, perhaps never to return. It was painful to hear. He's going almost to death, but then returning by Krishna's grace and rejoining them in San Francisco. Yet being unable to stay with them as before, and now his plans are going to India. Maybe forever. These activities intensified their concern and love for him. Devotees worried, speculating on whether they could carry on without Swamiji. One devotee suggested that perhaps one of Swamiji's god brother should come to America and fill in for Swamiji, and if the worst happened, take over the leadership of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. When the suggestion reached Prabhupada, he considered it without immediately replying. Looking back, I was sitting alone with Swamiji in his room, and he was very grave and silent. His eyes were closed. Then suddenly tears began flowing from his eyes, and he said in a choked voice, "My spiritual master was no ordinary spiritual master." Then he paused for some time, and wiping the tears from his cheeks, he said in an even more choked voice, "He saved me." At that point, I began to understand the meaning of the spiritual master and dropped all consideration of ever replacing Swamiji. After 2 days, Prabhupada said he would not call any of his godbrothers to come and take care of his disciples. He said, if the person speaks just one word different from what I am speaking, there will be a great confusion among you. Actually, he said the idea was an insult to the spiritual master. Prabhupada said that he would initiate the new followers in San Francisco and ask that they come one at a time and stay overnight. Without performing any fire ceremonies, he simply talked with each new person, asking him to follow the 4 rules and chant 16 rounds a day. When the follower promised, Prabhupada initiated him, sitting on bed while the disciples sat before him on the floor. Prabhupada would chant quietly on the disciples' beats, and then give him or Harry a spiritual name. One day, okay, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. One more time, sorry, 2, 2, 3, the prayer. Thank you. Again, we'll start one more cycle. This is Rashmi Mataji. Next, Sandhya Mataji, please read. Rashmi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. One day, one of the new candidates for initiation came in very nervously and bowed down before Prabhupada. The boy didn't get up. You can get up now, Prabhupada said. So you want to initiate it? The boy said yes. They began chanting, not knowing what else to say. I will chant on your beats, Prabhupada said. After chanting for 10 minutes, he returned them saying, your name is Aniruddha. What does that mean? The boy asked. He is the grandson of Krishna. Do you have any question? Aniruddha could not think of anything. He had already forgotten his name. And Prabhupada said he could go. Later, Prabhupada called for Aniruddha, but Aniruddha didn't know that it was his name being called Aniruddha. Kirtanananda said and looked at him, Swamiji is calling you. Another boy who came out received the name Uddhava. The next day, as Prabhupada was sitting in the yard, he called Kirtanananda Upendra Uddhava. He wanted to read them a verse he had encountered while studying Srimad Bhagavatam. Kirtanananda and Upendra came and sat at Prabhupada's feet. Oh, where is Uddhava? Prabhupada asked. Upendra told him that Uddhava had gone up to the hills to look at the cows and chant to them. Upendra thought that Swamiji would be pleased to hear that his new disciple had climbed the hill just to chant to the cows. But Prabhupada shook his head unhappily. Restlessness, he had wanted the new boy to hear the verse. Jayati Jayati Devaki Nandanosau Jayati Jayati Krishno Vrishni Vamsa Pradipaha Jayati Jayati Megha Shyamala Komalango Jayati Jayati Prithvi Bhara Naso Mukundam. Prabhupada gave the translation. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Devaki. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to the light of the Vrishni dynasty. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose bodily luster is like that of a new cloud and whose body is as soft as lotus flowers. All glories to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who walks on the planet Earth to deliver the world from the scorn of the demons and who can offer liberation to everyone. After repeating the Sanskrit and the translation, he told them they could return to their duties.
Thank you, Mataji. Beautiful
Thank
prayer.
you.
Very nice. Right. Sandhya Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Please continue. Hare Krishna. Not able to hear you, Mataji.
Can I read, Prabhuji? Can I read?
Prabhuji,
Okay. Your voice is unable to hear.
Prabhuji, is it okay now?
Yeah, now okay.
Prabhupada told Kirtanananda definitely decided to go to India by New York as soon as possible. Kirtanananda to spend night at the temple would leave the next morning. The temple and even Prabhupada's apartment were very hectic that night. Prabhupada and dozens of people wanting initiation. When Kirtanananda advised Prabhupada to himself go on for the evening program, Prabhupada insisted on at least going and sitting during the Kirtana. When he entered the storefront, the devotees immediately stopped their Kirtana to offer obeisances. There was a hush. He commanded in new reverence. This might be that they would see him. They were doing the Kirtana as he plays kartals, singing for the last time. The uninitiated wanted to accept him as their spiritual master. It was
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, Madhuri. Thank you. So next,
I'll read, Prabhuji. Yeah. Srila Prabhupada asked for the microphone. No one had expected him to speak. Kirtananda, the only person in the position to restrain him, said nothing and sat before him like others, submissive and expectant. Prabhupada spoke quietly about his mission. Under the order of spiritual master, he was bringing the Lord Chaitanya's movement to America. And Krishna had kindly sent him so many sincere souls. I have a few children in India from my family days, he said, but you are my real children. Now I am going to India for a little while. Everyone fixed his attention on Swamiji as he sat before them, leaning against the Madras covered wall. Mattress covered wall. Madras covered wall, speaking softly. Suddenly the door opened and Ravindra Swarupa happily entered. Everyone knew that Ravindra Swarupa wanted to leave Krishna consciousness. He hadn't taken his initiation was seriously. He wanted to move on. He didn't want a spiritual master anymore. The other devotees had discouraged him, but he had persisted. They were incredulous. How could he do such a thing on the night before Swamiji departure? Can I continue first? Can I read? Yeah. Ravindra Swarupa fell to the floor to offer obeisances, but he didn't rise up. Instead, he began crawling on his hands and knees towards Prabhupada. Ravindra usually had a cavalier manner enhanced by the handsome face, long tousled hair, and a beard. But now he was wretched and sobbing and crazy. He crawled towards Prabhupada, who sat but 2 steps off the floor on the simple redwood dais. Prabhupada looked at him with compassion. Come here, my boy. Ravindra crawled up the steps and placed his bushy head on Prabhupada's lap. Moved, the devotees watched as Prabhupada stroked Ravindra's head, and the boy cried and cried. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Next, Vani Mataji. Krishna, Vani Mataji. Okay. Akinjan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Should I read, Prabhuji?
Go ahead.
What's wrong, my son? You have to be so you don't have to be so unhappy. Ravindra bawled out. I want, he sobbed, reach God directly without anyone in between. Prabhupada continued to pat and stroke the boy's head. No, you continue to stay with us if possible. Don't be a crazy fellow. Ravindra's weeping subsided and Prabhupada continued, speaking both to Ravindra and to the emotion-struck group in the room. I am an old man, he said. I may die at any moment. But please, you all carry on this Sankirtana moment. You have to become humble and tolerant. As Lord Chaitanya says, be as humble as a blade of grass and more tolerant than a tree. You must have enthusiasm and patience to push this Krishna conscious philosophy. Suddenly, Ravindra's tears were gone. He jumped up, dejectedly stood, hesitating for a moment, and then hurried out the door, banging it behind him. Ravindra Swarup's dramatic exit from Krishna consciousness shocked the devotees. Prabhupada sat still and continued speaking to them gravely, asking them to stick together and push on the movement for their own benefit and for others. Whatever they had learned, he said they should repeat. They realized, perhaps for the first time, that they were a part of a preaching mission, a moment. They were together not just for good times and good vibrations, they had a loving obligation to Swamiji and Krishna. Prabhupada returned to his apartment, which soon became chaotic. It was late. Many people wanted initiation. Mukunda, Jayananda, and other temple leaders tried to determine which candidates were sincere. They selected candidates, half a dozen at a time, and allowed them into Prabhupada's room. Prabhupada sat behind his little desk, chanted on each person's beads, and returned them, giving each person a spiritual name. Kirtanananda requested him to stop. Further initiations could be done through the mail, but Prabhupada said he would continue initiating whoever was present. Mukunda and Jayananda set priorities. Some persons had been waiting months to be initiated and were obviously sincere. Others would have to be turned away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Akinjam.
John Carter, at the end of the lecture, I was sure that I wanted to be initiated. And even though there was some talk of being initiated by mail, I knew I wanted to have that personal connection with my spiritual master and be personally initiated by him, personally accepted. I ran up to the Mukunda and said, "How many are on the list? I would like to get on the list." He said, "Well, Swamiji isn't really taking them in any particular order. We are just going to try to pick out the most sincere people. Please put my name on the list." I said, "I am really sincere. I really want to get initiated." So he put me down and took up to the Swamiji, and Swamiji began calling for people one by one. After the third person, well, my name wasn't called, I became a little worried. Then after the fourth person, I was really sitting on the edge. Then when they called the fifth person and it wasn't me, I was totally destroyed. I felt, oh, he's going to India and then he's going back to Krishna. I just lost my chance. This is it. There is no use in me living anymore. I was trying to make it a coat track and get my coat and get out before anybody could see me carrying. I hadn't started crying, but I could tell it was coming. A couple of people patted me on the back and said, "It's all right. He can write you a letter and tell you your name." All I could think was, yeah, the way he was talking tonight, it was never it may never happen. I could barely stand up. I went outside and started walking across the parking lot towards the Golden Gate Park. I was kind of heading towards the Golden Gate Bridge. I thought I will just jump off. I hadn't been there long enough to understand that if you commit suicide, you have to become a ghost. I just figured uh, my life was useless.
Thank you, Babu.
ఇది ఎవరు అంటున్నారు ప్రభు? ఇది
ఎవరంటున్నారు? చదవండి. రవీంద్ర స్కూల్.
రవీంద్రనేనా? ఓకే 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 ప్రభు.
Yeah. చంద్రబాబు. చంద్రబాబు. Ask you to unmute. Okay. I will read one paragraph and we'll wrap up and we'll
Hare
continue.
Krishna.
Jen.
I got about halfway across the parking lot when the idea struck me. What if he decided to take one more and I was out here somewhere? The thought filled me with so much hope that I turned around and ran back to the temple. And just as I walked in the front of the temple, Janaki ran down and said, "He will take one more." And she grabbed somebody else and ran up the stairs. I felt my knees start to collapse, and tears came jetting out of my eyes. Um, Harsarani was standing there, and she grabbed me by the arm and said, "Come with me." She raised up the stairs, pulling me to the top, and burst into Swamiji's room without even knowing. Swamiji took up with amazement. She said, "Swamiji, you have to initiate this boy." I was just bawling, and Swamiji began to laugh. He said, "It's all right. Don't cry. Everything will be all right." He chanted on my beads and gave me the name Jivananda. The next morning, Prabhupada had to leave his affectionate followers. Several cars filled with devotees accompanied him to the San Francisco airport. And Nandarani, some were sincere and some were crying because it was appropriate to cry when the spiritual master leaves. Actually, none of us really knew much about what the spiritual master was. Janki mischievously stole the ticket and passport from Prabhupada's hand. Now you can't go, she said. That's all right, he smiled. I already have my boarding ticket. I am Indian. They will let me into my own country. Prabhupada turned to his adoring flowers gathered close around him at the boarding gate. Actually, I have only one desire, and whoever does this will please me very much. Now I have a temple in New York, in Montreal, and a temple in San Francisco, but I do not have any temple in Los Angeles. He told them to remain in Krishna consciousness and to please preach. They watched as he turned and walked through the gate, his cane in one hand, boarding pass in the other.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Just to clarify one thing. One second. No, Ravindra Swarup Prabhu got Prabhu, Akichan Prabhu, some other devotees, and wanted to take initiation from Srila Prabhupada. They were waiting for a long time. They've been waiting for months to be initiated. This is the person. So these dialogues. So he is the person, John Carter. He became a Jivananda later. So he was waiting long time. And and finally he got initiated. So he wanted to commit suicide, but but Prabhupada saved. So that's where it is. Okay. Thank you, devotees, for the reading. Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita, Volume 1, Chapter 26. We'll continue tomorrow from this paragraph. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll start reciting these prayers of Narayana Kavacha. Let me check. First of all, put this one. From this paragraph.
హరే కృష్ణ ప్రభుజీ ఎక్కడ ప్రభుజీ వైకుంఠంలో ఉన్నారా గోలోకంలో ఉన్నారా ఎక్కడ ప్రభుజీ మీరు
Prabhu?
బృందావనంలో ఉన్నారా, గోలోకంలో ఉన్నారా, లేకుంటే వైకుంఠంలో ఉన్నారా ప్రభుజీ మీరు?
భూలోకం ఇంకా
మరి కృష్ణ ఉన్నాడు ప్రభుజీ.
భూలోకంలోనే రకరకాల ప్లేసెస్. వేరే హయ్యర్ ప్లానటరీ సిస్టమ్ లేదు.
వెనకాల బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ బాగుంది ప్రభుజీ.
హయ్యర్ ప్లానటరీ సిస్టమ్స్ ఏం కాదు ప్రభు. భూలోకంలోనే ఇంకా మన రకరకాల సిటీలలో, భూలోకంలో కూడా కొన్ని సిటీస్ ఉన్నాయి. సో ఆ సిటీలలో జరుగుతుంది. ఎనీవే, సో వేర్ ఆర్ వి? నారాయణ కవచం prayers. Yesterday we have recited 12, 13, 14. Today 15, 16 we'll do. 6.8, 6.8.15 and 16 we'll do. Okay, yes, please. I didn't prepare slide. I will do later. 6.8.15. What's view? What's view? Not need any next thing. But first synonyms. Translation. Job description. Okay. 15 and 16. Okay. 6, 8, 15. Yesterday. Turgeshwar. Just to confirm. Turgeshwar. Okay. So text 15, let us recite. Narayana Kavacham prayers ki jai. So I'm sharing now. Okay. First of all, let us read this translation and then we'll continue. Translation by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. 6.8.15. Narayana Kavacha Shield. The chapter entitled is Narayana Kavacha Shield. Shield, protection. Okay. The Supreme Indestructible Lord. The Supreme Indestructible. We are destructible. And we are under the material laws. That's why we are destructible. Because of the body is given by the material nature. So it is destruct at some point. But Krishna is beyond the modes. That's why he is the indestructible. The Supreme Indestructible Lord is ascertained through the performance of ritual sacrifices and is therefore known as Yajneshwara or Yajna Purusha. Yajnartho karmano anya logo karma bandhana. Yajnartha, performing sacrifices. To whom? Yajneshwara or Yajnartha, Yajna Purusha. In his incarnation as Lord Boar, he raised the planet Earth from the water at the bottom of the universe and kept it on his pointed tusks. Which avatara? Lord Boar means, may that Lord protect me from rogues on the street. May Parashurama protect me on the tops of mountains, and may the elder brother of Bharata, Lord Ramachandra, along with his brother Lakshmana, protect me in foreign countries. So, which form? Lord Boar's form is what is avatar?
Varaha.
Varaha avatar. Yes, Mataji. And text 16, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. May Lord Narayana protect me from unnecessarily following false religious systems, failing from my duties due to madness. May the Lord in his appearance as Nara protect me from unnecessary pride. May Lord Dattatreya, the master of all mystic power, protect me from falling while performing Bhakti Yoga. And may Lord Kapila, the master of all good qualities, protect me from the material bondage of fruitive activities. So can we recite? Okay, 15, 16. Okay. Translation also I am keeping. So this way, synonyms also. 15 and 16. Let me do for myself one time. Raktasa Rakshastra Sauma Dvani Yajna Kalpa Swadam Straya Nita Dharo Varaha Ramo Drukuteshwata Vipravase Salakshmano भरताग्रजोऽस्मान् रक्ताश्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रायोन्निताधरो वराः रामो त्रिपुटेष्वत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Singing, singing. We want to do that way also. रक्षास्त्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वादंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः रामो दृकुटेष्वत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्यात् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Okay, I will do one more time. Please hear and you will practice. Okay. रक्षास्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्नीतधरो वराः रामो दृकुटेष्वता विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्यात् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. So can we practice now? Okay. Please do with me 2 lines, then next 4 lines. Okay. रक्ताश्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः. Please do.
रक्षास्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः
रामो दृकुटेष्वता विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्.
रामो त्रिकूटेष्वत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्.
4 lines. रक्षास्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः रामो दृकुटेष्वता विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Try please.
रक्षास्वसौ माधवनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः रामो त्रिकूटेष्वत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्.
Very good. One more time. And let me do again. रक्षास्त्वसौ माध्वनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्नीतधरो वराः रामो दृकुटेष्वता विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्यात् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्.
रक्षस्वसौ माधवनि यज्ञकल्पा स्वदंस्त्रयोन्निताधरो वराः रामो त्रिकूटेष्वत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्.
Okay, the next one also will do. Let's see. Say, let me try first. 12 times and then we practice. मामुग्रधर्मात् अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायणा पातु नरश्चहासात् दत्तत्वयोगादतयोगनाथ पायद्गुणेशा कपिला कर्मबन्धात्. Let me try one more time and then we can practice. 2 lines, then 4 lines like that. मामुग्रधर्मात् अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायणा पातु नरश्चहासात् दत्तस्त्वयोगाद् अथ योगनाथ पायाद् गुणेशा कपिला कर्म बन्धात्. ఇప్పుడు చూద్దాం 2 lines చేయండి నాతో కూడా. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ లెట్ మీ డు 2 lines.
अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायण पातु नरश्चहासात्.
Okay, मामुग्रधर्मात् अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायणा पातु नरश्चहासात्. Now do it again.
मामुग्रधर्मात् अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायण पातु नरश्चहासात्.
दत्तस्त्वयोगाद् अथ योगनाथ भायाद् गुणेशा कपिला कर्म बन्धात्
दत्तास्त्वयोगात् अथ योगनाथ पायात् गुणेश कपिला कर्मबन्धात्
दत्तस्त्वयोगादथ योगनाथ पायात् गुणेशा कपिला कर्म बन्धात्
दत्तस्त्वयोग्यात् अथ योगनाथ पायात् गुणेश कपिला कर्मबन्धा.
So 2 times, 4 times, 4 lines together in them 2 times. Okay, let me do one. Mamugra dharma akila pramadan narayana padu narascha hasad dattastva yogad atha yoganada payad gunesha kapila karma bandhad
मामुग्रधर्मादखिलात्प्रमादान् नारायणापातु नरश्च दत्तस्त्वयोगात् अथ योगनाथ पायात् कपिला कर्मबन्धा.
Now one more time. Mamugra dharma akilat pramadan narayana padu narascha hasad dattastva yogad atha yoganada payad gunesha kapila karma bandhad
मामुग्रधर्मात् अखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायणापातु नरश्च हासात् दत्तस्त्वयोगात् अथ योगनाथ पायात् गुणेशा कपिला कर्मबन्धा.
Hari Bol. So now individual practice, please do it. Practice Jason or something. Let me put it in this. Let me.
ప్రభుజీ వీటికి మీనింగ్స్ ఉంటాయి ప్రభుజీ?
ఉన్నాయి కదా, ట్రాన్స్లేషన్ సినానిమ్స్ ఉంటాయి కదా, చెప్తా. చాలా తగ్గించాను. So that two slokas together. You want to read, let me put this way. Synonyms వస్తాయి. Next, translation also. Synonyms, then translation.
ఓకే ఓకే, గాట్ ఇట్.
ఇది మన సిస్టమ్ అడ్వాన్స్డ్ వ్యూలో ఉంటుంది ఎనీవే. సో ఏంటిది? రక్షాత్వసౌ, రక్షా త్వసౌ, రక్షాస్తు అసౌ. వీడియో కొట్టడం. రక్షాతు అసౌ, రక్షాత్ మీద లాట్పడాయి. అసౌ దట్, మా మీ, అధ్వని on the street, yajnakalpa who is ascertained by performance of ritualistic ceremonies. Swadam Striya by his own tusk. Unnita raising, Dharaha the planet Earth, Varaha Lord Bull, Ramaha Lord Ram, Adrikuteshu on the summits of the mountains. Atha then Vipravase in foreign countries, Salakshmanaha with his brother Lakshmana, Avyad may he protect, Bharatagrajaha the elder brother of Maharaja Bharata, Asman plus Haribol. So ikkada Rakshasvaso, Rakshasvato Madhvani Yajna Kalpa. That one. And here other here Mamukha Dharma Akilat Pramada Narayana Padulasa Dattastva Yoga Atha Yoga. అది చేసుకుంటే కొంచెం కలుపుకుంటే if we add together like that, easy for us to recite. So let me read synonyms also here. Mom, me, Ukra Dharma, from unnecessary religious principles, Akilat, from all kinds of activities, Pramadas, which are enacted in madness, Narayana, Lord Narayana, Patu, may he protect. Narayana and Nara, Hasad, from unnecessary pride, Datta, Dattatreya, who of course, Ayoga, from the path of false yoga, Atha, indeed, Yoganatha, the master of all mystic powers, Payat, may he protect, Gunaesha, the master of all spiritual qualities, Kapila, Lord Kapila, Karma Bandhat, from the bondage of fruitive activities. So this is the 15 and 16. So please practice, only verse 15 and 16. Very good. Yeah. Same. Rakshasva Saumadhani Yajna Kalpa. Try both doings.
Can I try Prabhuji first?
Right.
Text 15. Rakshatva Sauma Advaniyagna Kalpa स्वदं स्त्रयोऽग्नितदरो वराः रामो द्रिकूटेष्वथ विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद्भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Text 16. मामोग्रधर्मादखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायणापाटु नरस्य हासात् दत्तास्त्वयोगादथ योगनाथा पायात् गुणेशा कपिलकर्म बन्धात्. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Next, Chayani, same tune.
Prabhuji, I'll try.
Yeah, please. Right.
रक्षत्स्व असौ माधवनीयज्ञकल्पा स्वधामस्त्रयो नितधारुवराः रामो त्रिकूटेष्व अथ विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Text 16. मामुग्रधर्मा अखिलात् प्रमादा नारायण पातु नरस्य हासात् दत्तास्त्वयोगात् अथ योगनाथा पायात् गुणेशा कपिला कर्म बन्धात्.
Thank you, Mother. Next, who is?
I will do it. रक्षत्वसौ माद्वै ध्वनियज्ञकल्प सदं त्रयो नितधरो वराः रामो दृकुत्सेवत विप्रवासे सलक्ष्मणो व्याद्भरताग्रजोऽस्मान्. Text 16. मामुग्रधर्मादखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायण पातु नरश्च हासात् दत्तस्त्वयोगाद् अत योगनाद पायात् गुणेशौ कपिल कर्म बन्धात्.
Nice. Thank you, Prabhu. Next, Akinjan Prabhu, Sanjay Madhuri.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. रक्षत्वसौमाध्वनियज्ञकल्पा स्वधं स्त्रयोर्नीथधरो वराः रामो त्रिकूटेष्वत विप्रवास सलक्ष्मणो व्याद् भरताग्रजोऽस्मान् मामुग्रधर्मादखिलात् प्रमादान् नारायण पातु नरश्च हासात् दत्तस्त्वयोगात् अथ योगनाथा पायात् गुणेश कपिला कर्म बन्धात्.
Thank you, Mother. Next,
Thank you.
Akinjan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. रक्षास्तसौ मधवनी यज्ञकल्प स्वधं त्रयोनित्यधरो वराः रामोद्रिकुटेशस्थ विप्रवहसे सलक्ष्मणो भरताग्रजोऽस्मान् मामुग्रधर्माद् अखिलात् प्रमादन् नारायण पातु सरश्च अस्सात् दत्तस्त्वयोगात् अथायोगलता पायाद् गुणाः सह कपिला कर्म बन्धात्. हरे कृष्ण.
Thank you very much, devotees. We will continue tomorrow. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubheva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. ग्रंथराज भागवत की जय. नारायण कवच शीर्षक की जय. श्री प्रभुपाद की जय. जय गौर प्रेमानंद हरि हरि. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.